Hey there, everybody. It's Dave here from Vikings versus SKOL. We're here live with the 2-minute warning. Oh, even though it's not quite 2 minutes, it is just about now. So we're going to hit the roll-in as soon as I get it. Yes. Welcome to Vikings First and SKOLs, live at the 2-minute warning. Next. Hey there, everybody. It's Dave here, and I'm going to switch my audio source real quick so you shouldn't get an echo. I am here, and why is that not showing? Configure Stream Deck. Here we go. Stream Deck XL, yes, let's go. Boom. Let's go. Boom. Why aren't you showing? That's an interesting signal. Stream Deck isn't showing what I wanted to. Hey, cool. Comes with setting up, I think it's an update to the OS, and it's messed things up. Hey, everybody, I want to welcome you, Peter, Blood Eagle Schmeagle, Brian, Andrew, Chuck. Yes, oh, happy day, it is. Hey there, Ron. We got a dagger game. Yes, it may be 48-10, at least last I checked. Yes, it is. But it was 48-3. And your Minnesota Vikings set all sorts of records today, which is fantastic. First time a player scored 2 touchdowns on defense and most likely will win the Defensive Player of the Week award, walking away, or should I say picking up the fumble and running away with it, with Isaiah Rodgers. What a game did he have. He was just outstanding. Boy, you got to be happy we signed him in the offseason. Blood Eagle says Flores for president, Isaiah Rodgers for Secretary of Defense. Absolutely. Purple and gold for Bears. Let's freaking go. Yes, we're on pace for 12 wins. Let's keep it up. Let's keep it up. And forlorn for you. Cheers, my brother. Drinking a little bit of Larceny bourbon. Small batch. It's very tasty. I highly recommend, especially on a good day when the Vikings make you drink. But in this case, it's for celebration. Now, did the team focus on a little 2017 magic where the backup comes in and plays well? It's a great question. Akers didn't get much on that play. I am watching on Sunday Ticket. Why? I was watching live till just after the first half, and then CBS said, we're switching games. And then I missed about 5 minutes before they switched over to Sunday Ticket. Daniel says, welcome to Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. Yes, SKOL, brother. Chuck, Rogers better win D Player of the Week, doing something that's never been done before. Absolutely. And the pass is complete, but just beyond the line of scrimmage. Yes, forlorn, a wheater for the wind. And for those who don't know, it's a wheat-based bourbon. It's got a chunk of wheat in it. Yes, very good. The Cleveland game will be tough. Hopefully not, but it's great to see that the Cheese Weasels lost to the Browns. I think is wonderful and is something to be celebrated for sure. What was the final score in that game? Let's see. Looking. Somebody posted up for me. I'm not seeing it. Here it is. Cleveland 13, Green Bay 10. What happened to the professional quarterback? I thought he was supposed to be so good. Saw a post before the game how his start first 35 games mirrors the first 35 games of Aaron Rodgers. Yes, I know. Pretty perfect game. Well, pretty perfect. Not quite, but yes. Solid defense, solid by Wentz. Great defense, solid by Wentz. Big improvement. Oh, yes, it was. And you want to talk about improvement? Here we go. Snap back to Brosmer. Throws a screen to number 36, who gets it going, keeps going. Oh, good, about a 20-yard gain-ish to Xavier Scott. But it is what it is. So, where was I at? How about that Mason? Mason had 2 touchdowns today, too. It was good. And the whole let's run it up, that was absolutely outstanding. And we have a final score. Your Minnesota Vikings win 48-10. Vikings win, Vikings win, Vikings win in this great day in Minneapolis. Yes, at US Bank Stadium, we saw absolute, not perfection, but we saw great improvement and a will to absolutely destroy the enemy. That is something that has been so long in coming. I have absolutely loved it. And with me here, joining me right now, as I go to the screen, is Darren. 2 old bloggers, buddy. Been blogging on this team for well over 2.5 decades apiece. And do you ever remember winning by this much? Scoring this much? It was 48-3 for the longest time before the Cincinnati Bengals finally scored. What do you think, buddy?
I certainly don't remember them winning by this much in Kevin O'Connell's time, for sure. I was joking with you during the game that when they got to, I think it was 43 points, and I was like, geez, I'm surprised that Kevin O'Connell's still, trying to score and pour it on. Like, normally he calls off the Dogs when we're up by 14. So,
unfortunately, but hopefully he's learned his lesson.
Yeah, but what can you say? Like, it's a fantastic result. I don't know what to make of it all. Clearly, you're not going to get 5 turnovers every game. That was a big help, and 2 of them returned to the house by the same guy. But I thought it was so big. You probably have talked about it, and others have. It's so big for Wentz and the offense to start that first drive and go down there and not do a 3-and-out and get a touchdown, aided by a couple of penalties. But that was a big start, I think, for Wentz, to get the jitters out if he had any, and get him comfortable in the game. Now, the offense didn't really do much after that for a couple of drives, and he was double clutching, and it looked like he was hesitant and wasn't really as making those clear, confident reads after that first drive. But then he settled down in the second half and got a couple of, drove them for a field goal. Then they got a touchdown late. But again, at that point, the pressure was a bit off after the second Rodgers thing. So I don't know what to make of it all, David, about what this means for the future for the Vikings. What it means is you're 2-1, and it's a lot better than being 1-2 going against the Steelers, who also won today. Although they beat the Patriots, so I guess there's a bit of an asterisk there. But nice to see the defense do what it had to do, which was don't allow a poor Bengals rushing attack to run on you. They did not. They snuffed them out that way. Pressure Jake Browning, who is a good backup, but he's still a backup. They were able to affect him in the pocket, I think, and make him be uncomfortable, and his throws looked that way. So, hey, 48-10, and is it really bizarre, Dave. It's not too many NFL games where in the fourth quarter it's feeling like a preseason game. You got McLaughlin out there, you got Austin Keys out there, you got Chaz Chambliss out there. Both Keys and Chambliss get sacks. Walter Rouse is playing, like Joe Huber got in there. It was just bizarre, but a much needed pick me up for the Vikings. I think overall, and you can't. What complaints can you have about beating a 48-10? I did not see it going down like this at all. I don't think anybody did.
Oh, I know I didn't. I was calling for a lower scoring game, and we just barely eking it out, wasn't scoring under 21 points. We over doubled that. That teaches B-Dirt to send me the wrong audio.
I see Chuck is talking about it's like Darrisaw fixes a lot of problems. And you saw him when the game was still relatively close. He's one-on-one against Trey Hendrickson and stonewalling him. And that is not something that would have happened if Justin School was in the game or Walter Rouse is in the game or Blake Brandel is in the game playing left tackle. You're either, if you got them one-on-one on Hendrickson, it's going to be trouble, or else you've got to have help. And then with help, you're taking a tight end or a running back out of an offensive play because you're chipping or double teaming him. So to have a left tackle who can handle his business one-on-one in the pass rush, and also Darrisaw is a very good run blocker too. They ran to the left a fair bit in early on in the game, and I didn't track it, but he does fix up a lot of problems, and good to see him back. And he ended up playing I think more snaps than maybe we anticipated. There was some talk about how there might be a
pulled in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, so did a lot of starters, right? But I think Brandel came in from one series or a few plays. But other than that, I saw him in there the whole time. So he must have been feeling pretty good.
That's what I gather. Now, it was great to have him, and you saw what a big difference it made on the offensive side of the ball. But you also saw on the defensive side with having Harry the Hitman Smith in the communication. Defense was just absolutely rocking it today. And I think having both those guys in was key, one of the keys to this victory. It was huge because we were so much better, magnitudes better than we were in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, and Hitman's the guy that gets a finger or two on Browning's pass when they're relatively deep in our territory to cause that first interception in the pick six by Rodgers. So yes, if you can still play, knowing what you're doing out there helps a lot. And
yes, it does. And as Tyler joins us from his crappy internet, fuzzy picture.
I joined a minute or two early because I'm uploading my a video quick for work. It's got a minute and a half left.
Okay, then you'll clear up.
Yep, then I'll clear up just fine. And I've got Marzipan here, who's just a good little puppy. Kisses. Very much so. She's very excited about the win today. Well, mainly because she's getting to chew bones all day. So she's a happy puppy. What a game. What have you guys talked about so far?
Nothing. Start.
Oh, cool.
Darrisaw being back makes a big difference.
And same with Hitman.
I said it, I think on Thursday. I really thought Darrisaw's return could fix everything about the offense because his impact, it felt more than just him playing every single down. It's no Marzi. Nope, honey. Okay. You need to go down. Coming. Bye. Bye. But yeah, it's felt tenfold across the board.
Real quick. Let's see if it comes in.
It's got 26 seconds left.
Yeah, but it came in when your microphone moved closer to the camera. No, you're still crap. All right. Potatoes. But we can hear you.
It's clear on my corner. There's 13 seconds left. So I thought it was really pivotal that they get him back because it impacts Jackson at left guard. And then without Ryan Kelly, Michael Juergens' job gets harder too because you have a rookie at left guard. So his presence just matters so much. The run game, it improved significantly. And Aaron Jones is a good player, but Jordan Mason just might be that guy. 16 carries, 116 yards on the day, and just really impressive. Almost 8 yards a carry at that clip. Just a really impressive game. But to me, I thought Carson Wentz wasn't very good. And I want to look at the all-22 to really get a sense of that. Because how many of those times where he just turtled and took a sack were because nothing was open? Or was it Wentz being Wentz? Like, if the defense didn't have a historic game, do the Vikings still win? Obviously a Jordan Mason, but some of that just snowballed after all the defensive stuff in the first half. Like, the offense was just okay. It was kind of paltry, which we knew it wasn't going to be like the most explosive unit in the world with Wentz at the helm, but I kind of thought Wentz was bad. So we'll see what the all-22 ends up looking like.
But we'll take the results today.
100% we'll take the results today. And then Isaiah Rodgers.
I think that's I think it's a fair point about wondering just how good Wentz was. I thought he settled down later, but by then we were up by 17, 24 points, right? It's easy to play, a lot easier to play quarterback that way. The second half, he looked a lot more confident, wasn't double clutching as much. But again, we were way up by then. So yes, when the game is closer, which I suspect it will be next week, what can he do? But maybe he'll be a little bit more acclimated to things with his second week as a starter, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. But yeah, I do have questions about him as well. And I think, he is the backup. It's not surprising he might not look like Josh Allen out there.
Yeah. And we're not expecting him to be Josh Allen, right? We're just expecting him to give us a baseline level. But my big thing is how many missed opportunities for somebody like Wentz with his skill set. How many of those are going to be because it's his fault? How many of them are because of O'Connell's scheme and how it takes routes a long time to develop? They had some really cool stunts early on in the game. That defensive tackle one worked really well on that third down, and they got a sack. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of levels to this. How much is going to be on the fault of Wentz? How much is going to be on the fault of the scheme? How much of it is just nobody's fault and guys just got beat? Like, there's so many different questions that we have to ask here, and I don't have the answer. So I'm really excited to look at that all 22 to kind of get a better sense of what this offense actually was, because there are too many variables right now for me to know.
Yeah, but for right now, it's time to celebrate because the Vikings had such a historical win. Now, we look at Carson Wentz numbers. 14 for 20, 173, 2 touchdowns, averaged 8.7 yards. He had 3 sacks for 19 yards, which I can blame some of those on him, and a QB rating of 129.8. So that's pretty good for that amount of time. Not the great amount of yardage as we'd like, but it's pretty good for that amount of time. We'll see when we look at the film, but it was enough to set the stage and put the Vikings on top along with the defense, and it was just good. So you combine them, it works. And this is a team game, and you got to combine efforts from all 53 players to make it work.
No, 100%. I'm just very intrigued by what Wentz actually was, because he's probably going to play next week. And when you look at the fact that McCarthy's,
unless McCarthy's good.
We don't know what this McCarthy injury is actually going to be. It's a projected 2 to 4 weeks, but we also know that they didn't rule him out of this game until Friday. Like, now, O'Connell said he's probably missing Sunday's game against the Bengals, but it was never official until that final injury report came out. So he's going on the Europe trip. That tells me that they believe he's going to play at some point. And he's not just, like, based on the reporting, he's not just skipping Ireland. He's going to Ireland, and then he's going to London, So if Wentz plays next week, I think that all 22 is going to be really, really interesting to see what we can use to project forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I also want to point out they ran more quick game for Wentz than they did for McCarthy. I got to say it. Yeah.
Big says JJ McCarthy missed pass after pass. He didn't have Christian Darrisaw at left tackle for one.
Yeah.
So that affects everything. So it will be interesting to see. Now, we asked, there was the interview with Kevin O'Connell, I think it was between the first and second quarter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious. He said what I heard was different from what other people heard. I heard that JJ's coming to Europe. He's going on the European road trip. Okay, cool. That'll work. And I also heard reporting that JJ says his ankle feels fine. Now, feeling fine and being fine could be two different things. So I'm curious to see how well he reacts this week on the sidelines, because he won't be able to clear for full practice until he's cleared to do that. But it's going to be interesting to see. Yes, Biggs, JJ is going through some growing pains. But like we said, every quarterback does that, and it's going to be interesting to see, even Wentz today. So nothing was perfect. We'll see how it goes. And could have, as Daniel says, J.J. McCarthy with Darrisaw might have been different, and it very well could have been. We don't know. So it's one of those things that we've got to watch develop. And we hope for the best across the board, whether it be Wentz, whether it be J.J. McCarthy, whether it be Max Brosmer, whether it be, Christian Darrisaw to Donovan Jackson. And have you heard about what's happened with Donovan Jackson today?
Bloody nose. They said
just
a
bloody nose.
Oh, that's nothing. Okay. Yeah. And then get Ryan Kelly back, get Will Fries to not make stupid penalties, Brian O'Neill back in. As this line gets together and it merges into a cohesive unit, building up that ESPN that's needed between the linemen, the chemistry, as they used to call it, this team will get better, including J.J. McCarthy or Carson Wentz, at least in my opinion.
Jackson was out there playing at the end of the game. So with all the other with four backups behind him, so he was fine.
Now, Tyler, what did you think of Go for the Throat from KOC today?
What, did he say something and I just missed it, or are you just talking?
Just the putting up the 48 points. Now, granted, 2 of those were defensive touchdowns, but to not let the foot off the pedal.
I'm going to be honest, I didn't get that vibe at all. It actually felt to me like they were running a more conservative game plan. It was just working, which if it works, who are we to judge, right? The run game was just dominant. Xavier Scott looked really good in his NFL debut, and Jordan Mason was just running over everybody. So I never got the sense, like you kind of framed it, where he's like, let's go just choke them out. Let's end this. But that's kind of what the offense ended up doing, right? Because they just drove down the field.
They ended up doing. That's why I said they were all for putting up points.
Yeah, and they did, but I never got the sense like Kevin O'Connell wanted that knockout punch. It was just run the offense. So I guess that's where I kind of differ, which, I mean, it's semantics, right? But the way we've seen this team over the last decade having this unwillingness to put the foot on the throat and end it. Like that scene in Mortal Kombat at the end of every battle, finish him. And then you just don't. You just kind of let him stand there and loopy. Oh, I'm just going to let him fall because he's going to eventually, which in Mortal Kombat they actually do. But in the NFL, you have to end it. The Bucs could have ended it. They were up 23-3 on the Jets. They lost 27-26. The Rams were up 26-7 on the Eagles, and the Eagles ended up winning by 7 because they blocked the last second field goal and took it for a touchdown. You have to finish these guys. You have to always be prepared. And those drives where they just overpowered the Bengals defense with the run game, that was that drive. And he didn't have to really do much of anything. It was, hey, my guys are just going to overpower and overwhelm you. And it worked great. And there's really nothing to complain about there. But I never got the sense that, hey, let's do a play action shot and let's just end these guys. Like, we didn't get that.
I'm so used to Zimmer, especially Zimmer, but even with KOC, getting the 7 or 14 point win, and then it's go, all right, we're going to now defend the win mode.
I'm going to be honest,
I thought he did
that. No, I thought he did that. It was just the running. Well, there's a difference between execution and play calling. I thought the play calling was just defend the win, but the execution was they just overpowered, and it gave a different perception than what I actually think happened. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, kudos to the players that executed and said, screw this. We're going to put a dagger in this game, and we're going to rub it in their faces.
Yeah, because early on, there were a lot of people complaining about the lack of the run game because it was working. But I think that first 3 and out, they ran twice and then threw, and it didn't work. And then the second 3 and out, they threw 3 times. Like, sometimes, if the running game wasn't working there, okay, let's go with the short passing game and let's just keep it moving. Well, that didn't work either. So they kind of had to work through some kinks with Carson Wentz, which is fine. He's only been in the building for 3 weeks, but he's a veteran. He understands this offense. He understands generally what we're trying to do, and he was able to kind of figure it out. But like, the lack of run game early, I know that was a critique point, at least from everything that I was seeing, and I didn't really have an issue with it because they were up 14. They got a touchdown right away. A lot of the stuff was kind of working, but the execution wasn't all the way there. And they kind of remedied that as the game went on. That drive to just get into field goal range. And then Carson Wentz with that calculated shot on the outside to try and get some extra yards. It didn't work, but it was smart. It was quick. It was, hey, back shoulder. If it doesn't work, that's fine. We'll kick a field goal, and Will Reichard. That thing would have been good from 66.
Yeah, but
that was awesome.
It did one of these numbers with that right goalpost.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's because he's driving it, right? He's driving it, and sometimes when you drive it, like in other sports I know that I actually play in, like sometimes you drive it, you don't have that little touch or brush, it's going to go to the left or the right on you. But it was going right, and then it kind of evened itself out, which was great. I did want to go back just a bit on the, like, going for the throat thing. I think, Tyler, the thing that I noticed was I can't remember if it was all in the last drive when they got to the 48 points, but they took a fairly substantial deep throw or a long pass to Jalen Naylor. Maybe that was the drive before, or was that one? And then 2 passes to Hawkinson. They weren't long passes, but we were deep in there. We were already up 43 or 42 to 10 or 3. And I've seen KOC with a lot less leads than that just hand the ball off in the fucking middle of the line, and we get stuffed and say, okay, we're going to kick a field goal. This time he actually threw the ball trusted his quarterback, or had his quarterback drop back to pass and score 48. And I was just thinking, this could be an awkward moment at halftime, or at the end of the game with Zach Taylor. But actually, Taylor looked like he was okay with how everything went out. Even that screen they threw to Xavier Scott on 4th and 5, with very little time left. Maybe he's probably thinking, I want to get Brosmer some more reps, right? But I was expecting a kneel down there, and they threw it. Like, a lot of times head coaches will fucking freak out if you do that when you're blowing them out. So just a few odd things that I haven't seen from KOC in the past. Even he wasn't dropping back and throwing a 50-yard bomb, but I've seen him play a lot more conservative than that with less leads.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand your point.
Just scored a touchdown, by the way.
I think that does make some sense, Darren. My feeling was it just felt like they were operating the basic offense, which included some of those short passes. But hey, if there was improvement and I'll kind of catch it on the all-22, hell yeah.
Yeah, but what would you expect? You want the basic offense to be run because Wentz has only been in the house, in the building for less than a month, a little over 3 weeks. He's acclimating. You're trying to bring in Christian Darrisaw, who's not acclimated for the season because he hasn't played up until today. You're going to dial it back just a bit. And so he did. I would expect that. But the results, though, were execution for the first time in a long time that seemed to be, even though I'm dialing back, we're going to score and we're going to keep scoring and we're going to score some more.
Probably.
But that's exactly what I've been saying, Dave. That's not putting your foot on the throat. That's just running an offense. But the execution was just better. Like, to me, putting a foot on the throat is, I'm going to attack you until you die. And I didn't get the feeling that he did that. Which, hey, it worked. Like, if we have a 17-point lead against the Packers in week 12, and it's the middle of the third quarter, and they just do 3 runs up the gut, then we're going to sit back here and be like, okay, this is getting ridiculous. Where's the aggressiveness? Where's the, I'm going to put my foot on your throat and end this thing? That's the kind of, like, almost like Braveheart when he has that speech and he raises that spear. Like, I want that when the game is not in doubt, but you can put it out of doubt. Just bury him. Like, yes, I got you. And that vibe is something I didn't get today, and I think that's okay. I don't think that's a big deal because it was a 31-point lead at halftime, and the Bengals couldn't do anything. It was just a complete, utter domination.
Which you got to give a big chunk of that to Brian Flores and the game he called on the defensive side. The defense was great. Rocking it.
It was great. I want to give a big shout out to Dallas Turner because there's been some criticism of him, not from us, but some criticism overall of, he's not making these splashy plays. Here's the difference between Dallas Turner last year and this year. He's consistent. He's making consistent plays. The boring stuff he's doing really well. He's holding up at the point of attack and not getting displaced easily by offensive linemen or tight ends. He's running things out. He's staying really patient in his drops and with his pass rush. So when things spill to the outside, he can go chase it down. He's doing all these right things and setting him up for success. So the splashy plays will come. They aren't yet, and that's okay. Because you have guys like Grenard who are making the splashy plays. You have Andrew Van Ginkel, who's a second-team All-Pro. You have 2 defensive tackles who are ridiculous. It's okay that you have a guy like Turner who isn't making super splashy plays, but he hasn't made a bad one yet from my perspective. He's just been consistent, and as Daniel mentions in the chat, he got close multiple times. That you keep getting close. You keep setting yourself up in those situations. Those plays will come. It's just a matter of time. And I'm very happy with where Dallas Turner's at in his development because now you have a baseline of, hey, I've got the strength profile. I've got the consistency. I'm able to hold up at the point of attack and do all these different things. And now I can take that step forward and start really getting what's the framing here? Really getting those big splash plays, those sacks, maybe a couple more interceptions. They're going to come. They're going to happen. There's no way it won't happen unless he just absolutely craters a knee or something. He's getting there.
Now, speaking of the defensive tackles, Javon Hargrave went off with a chest injury. Have you heard anything more about that?
Actually, Ben guessing just because the press conference is obviously going on right now. Kevin O'Connell said Javon Hargrave had a chest/rib contusion and could have come back in if needed. Christian Darrisaw could have continued as well, but O'Connell said the Vikings got exactly what they wanted from the left tackle snap count. So they kind of got bailed out by the fact that this game got out of hand and they didn't have to play Darrisaw more. So now he has a full game under his belt, so to speak. And next week we'll go and we'll play the Pittsburgh Steelers at 8:30 in the morning. I am going to need about 3 monsters that day. It's going to be fun.
Just go to bed at 9 p.m., Tyler.
That's not how this works, Darren. You know that.
I know it's a Saturday night, and yeah, you probably got a few craft beer to drink. And
Nope, not at all. I don't drink very much anymore. You know what I do? I watch the sicko games of college football. Last night I was up to like 1:32 in the morning watching Hawaii and Fresno State and Michigan State and USC, which started at 10, by the way. That rules. The late Fox window has just been great. But yeah, I'm watching college football. I'm not going out partying. I'm 35. Nah.
You're working, in other words. You're scouting for next year.
100%. I just love college football. It's so great. It's so much fun.
And you talk about 8:30. It's 7:30 in the morning for Darren next week.
Well, he's going to bed at 9, so that doesn't matter.
Or 10.
That's funny.
What happened to your Calgary Stampeders this weekend, Darren? They were atrocious against BC.
I don't cheer for the Stampeders.
Oh, who are you a CFL fan of?
I'm a Red Blacks fan, so I haven't really been too interested in them this year because they've.
With Drew Brown hurt consistently, I don't blame you.
My right, Blue Bombers beat him with
the box 3 passes, baby.
All right, we talked about Carson's Wentz, 14 for 20 for 173. Max Brosmer was 2 for 4, 28. All right,
should have been 3 for 4. Should have been 3 for 4.
Yeah. On the rushing side, Jordan Mason absolutely dominated. He had 16 rushes for 116 yards, a 7.3 yard average, and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, baby. Xavier Scott was his relief with 8 carries for 30 yards. Not bad. 3.8. Not bad at all. And then in a surprise, Cam Akers came in the fourth quarter. I don't think they were scheduled to play Cam Akers whatsoever today. But he came in and had himself 5 carries for 19 yards. For passing stats, Justin Jefferson had 5 receptions for 75 yards, average of 15 yards per catch. We would like to see JJ get over 100 yards, but this is a huge improvement on the first 2 games. So I'm going to take it. TJ Hawkinson woke up and got some balls. He had 5 receptions for 49 yards and a 9.8 yard reception. I like the one over to the middle where he twisted and turned for an extra 10 yards or so. Jalen Naylor, I think he only dropped 1 ball. He had 3 receptions for 37 yards. And
Dave, you're being very harsh. That wasn't really a drop on Naylor. That ball was thrown behind him.
Well, I'm not talking about the one behind him, but yes, that was a bad throw. And that was a Wentz thing. But anyways, I may be wrong. I've been wrong numerous times. On defense, we have Ivan Pace leading the team in tackles. He actually wrapped up and tackled this week. Isn't it wonderful, Tyler? He had 12, 9 of them solo. Good for him. Eric Wilson, who I saw just about everywhere, was second with 7. Josh Metellus was 5, and Josh Metellus had a pick. But obviously the big defender of the week is going to be Isaiah Rodgers. Isaiah Rodgers absolutely rocked with the 2 touchdowns defensive wise, the 2 tackles for loss. He had a pass, 2 pass defenses, the interception, the fumble, the whole works. He absolutely freaking rocked. And then let's go down to special teams, the new U.S. Bank and Minnesota, I shouldn't say U.S. Bank. I don't know if it's a U.S. Bank, but the Minnesota Vikings record holder with a 62-yard field goal. It was absolutely wonderful to see that this team did not give up, much like a lot of us over the week, on the season. And they are now 2-1. And 2-1 with the Packers losing, that means, hey, wait a minute. We're tied for the lead in the division. How about that?
Chuck was mentioning Jalen Redmond in the comments, and I continued to be pretty impressed with Redmond every game. A little bit undersized, but the guy he creates stuff in there when he's in there, like getting penetration and sort of blowing up run plays, getting pretty, I think, fairly consistent pressure up the middle on pass plays. What a find. What a find we had with Jalen Redmond.
He had 2 tackles for the stats, both solo.
Yeah.
Jalen Redmond, he makes a difference.
I love him.
He's just a ball of energy out there, but purposeful energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm liking how Flores is, even earlier in the game, he's getting Ingram Dawkins in there. He's getting LDR in there. And we're keeping guys fresh on the D-line. And I think that's going to be, I think, important later on in the season if the Vikings are still playing meaningful football, that you've got the big guys are relatively fresh, or as fresh as you can be after playing 16, 17 NFL games.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of LDR, he was tied for 4th with 4 tackles, 3 of them solo, and 2 of them tackles for loss. LDR, I saw all over the place today.
Yeah, he was great. And he got more playing time because of the Hargrave injury, which I thought was awesome. It would have been great to have Elijah Williams play.
Credit for the sack.
And that could come. They have like 24 hours to change that kind of thing. Did we talk about Isaiah Rodgers setting an NFL record yet? Because I think we got to make sure we do that.
What's your opinion on Isaiah Rodgers' play today?
Well, I thought it was tremendous. You can't expect this every week, but he was playing smart, playing calculated, and to me, the process is what provided the results. So he's attacking the football, and he's always been a guy with his hands. He wants to go after the football. He does it in the air with that T. Higgins pass batted down, and then he did it with the interception, which kind of just fell into his lap, but he was able to have the awareness to secure it quickly and then take it upfield like a punt returner for a touchdown. The peanut punch, perfectly placed punch right on the football, got the ball, scooped it up, and then he got another forced fumble later on in the first half. Just process breeds results, and I was really high on him after kind of watching the film this offseason because I thought, hey, maybe this guy could just be a player. And Brian Flores spoke highly about him during training camp, said he's had his eye on him since he was at UMass in college. And he's young. He's like 25, 26 years old. We're not talking about an old player either. And this just might be the next like bargain find for Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. I like him. And you know what? This secondary needs a revamp this offseason. I'm not going to argue it. But with how the defensive line is playing, with the talent they have, and how they're able to get pressure now with 4 guys, like the secondary doesn't desperately need it right now. They're going to need it long term, but they're good enough with what they have up front. And that's how Brian Flores wants to live. He's okay having a little bit weaker back end because he knows he can get pressure. Imagine what happens if he drafts a couple corners and they end up just being really good.
Mm-hmm. But especially when you have somebody like Harrison Smith in the back that can call and set things. Communicator. He won't be here after this year, I doubt. But he helps.
We said that after last year too. Who knows? That like, and I mean this in the nicest way possible. He's just different. I mean, during the offseason, he got done and he just started framing houses with his brother. And he's like, oh, I should probably figure out if I'm going to play football this year. Like, he's just wired differently than all of us. And that's okay.
Thank you, Too Evil, for the $2. Wentzmania is foretold by someone. I wonder who. Who
Every
was it?
Bison
Too Evil
fan in existence. That's who.
Too Evil, you absolutely rock, buddy. You absolutely rock it. You've been squawking that for like 2 or 3 years now, and we appreciate it. It was good. Well, gentlemen, any last words before we wrap this up and continue to imbibe?
Go ahead, Darren.
Well, I think a lot of good things out of this game, of course, and Darrisaw being back and playing like he did, and but the whole Wentz thing is going to be like he was okay today, I think. Building on that, and can he get a little bit better, a little bit more effective than he was today? And I think the Vikings offense, which again was okay today, particularly on the rushing side of things, can they get to where we think they should be with Wentz at quarterbacks with the weapons that they have? That's the next big test. When you win 48-10, everything looks great. So what happens next week if the sledding's a little bit tougher? Can Wentz make some of those key throws, big plays when the game is tight? That is the next questions that he is going to have to answer, and the Vikings offense is going to have to answer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think the fact that you have Darrisaw gives you stability. This defense is starting to figure things out. What's really interesting to me is that the Falcons lost 30-0 to the Panthers today.
Mm-hmm.
The Packers lost, which it was a glorious loss. It was blocked. There were 3 blocked field goals at the end of the noon slate today. I don't know what kind of voodoo was placed on kickers, but the Vikings didn't get it. Parker Romo missed multiple field goals in his Falcons main roster debut because he was a practice squad elevation last week. And it's so interesting that this team has started to really figure it out. And if they can continue that, and Christian Darrisaw provides so much, it's really, really going to be interesting to see how they continue to grow and evolve, because this is a very talented team. They have phenomenal coaching, and can they keep it up? Like JJ McCarthy he's walking into an improved ship when he returns from his ankle injury.
Mm-hmm.
Can he take that next step? And we're not going to expect him to be great. Just be mediocre. You've been bad for 7 quarters. Just be mediocre. And then we'll ask him to be good. And then we'll ask him to be great. But for now, just be mediocre. Run the offense like it's just boring, and just operate it. Score 20 points. This team probably wins most of its games this year.
Yep. And as folks in the chat have pointed out, the Bears just scored again. It was a flea flicker to Burden, and then they just made it 14-3 over the Dallas Cowboys.
I see Kirky got in the game today.
Did he?
Yeah. I don't know whether that was a benching or was just we're losing 30-0. Let's get Penix out of there. But Kirky was in there. Penix threw 2 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was both.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be an interesting storyline to follow this week. But speaking of this week, we are going on to Dublin, Ireland, and where not many people are used to knowing. They think Ireland, they think the Steelers. There's a bunch of Irish in Pittsburgh, and it's a Steelers town. Well, is it? Dublin was founded by the Vikings way back. And it was, when was it? Approximately 1841, or not 841 AD. They fought back and forth, eventually lost it, eventually got it back, and then melded with the Gaelic there. So it is a true Norse city, and we get to play next week at, what was it, 8:39 in the morning on Sunday morning. The Pittsburgh Steelers. But first, Tyler, what have you got tomorrow night?
Now we're going to talk about this game. We're going to talk. I'm hoping to have enough of the All-22 watch to kind of talk some of that before we break it all down with Luke later in the week. We're going to talk about some of the procedural stuff. We'll catch up on injuries because I'm sure that we'll get more information on Monday. Because remember, last week We weren't even going into Monday's press conference with any thought of an injury. Well, that changed pretty quickly. So we'll get caught up that way. We'll get ourselves ready to go for Sunday morning, and we'll just continue that process. And there's a lot of interesting angles to talk about, and some more in-depth kind of thought is needed on some of this stuff. So I'm excited to kind of dive in over the next 24 hours.
Cool. And I guarantee there's going to be some crossover episodes with the Pittsburgh Steelers, because I know a lot of their people, they've already asked me. So we've got that coming. Wednesday, we have the NFC North show, Who Will Be King, which is going to be interesting, especially if the Bears hold out to win. And with the Packers losing, it's always a great time. And then, of course, on Saturday morning, what do we have, Darren?
2 old bloggers and one old man's opinion, Drew Bunting.
That's right. What do we say, gentlemen?
SKOL Vikings.
SKOL Vikings, and I want to thank everybody for watching. And as always, when the Vikings win, Vikings win, Vikings win, it's a great week here at Vikings First and SKOL. SKOL Vikings.
Like, subscribe, and ring the bell, and rate us on your favorite podcast aggregator. Darren and Dave, thank you for watching this episode of 2 Old Bloggers. We look forward to seeing you on every show on the new Vikings First and SKOL. You can find our podcasts as part of the Fans First Sports Network. Sports takes for the fan, from the fan. SKOL, everybody!